Oh, hi everybody, and welcome to the very last episode of Game Life for the year 2008. Hopefully we'll still have a show in 2009, right? Yeah, but anyway, for the time being, 2009. Chris Baker and I are going to talk about our predictions for the coming 12 months. All right, Baker, why don't you start us off with some of the trends that you think are going to be really important in 2009?
Well, I think the first and most important one to talk about is a crisis in big budget gaming.
Sure.
As you know,
Yep.
We're seeing some amazing games on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, but to make a game that really uses those consoles to their full potential takes teams of over 100 people several years.
Yeah,
Can cost
and millions
20,
and millions.
30, $40 million.
Right.
The big problem for big budget games is they have to earn all of that money back right away, the huge development costs, the huge marketing costs, because they start looking outdated a few months after they come out.
Yeah. And I mean, this is going to be fine for companies, that have sweetheart deals with Microsoft and Sony, but for independent developers, Baker, when you first brought this up, you did this the night before Free Radical, the developer of Haze and Time Splitters, got up in the morning to find that their office doors had been shuttered, and it's seeming like they almost might close that company. And I mean, This is a company that's been, really betting the farm on these big games, and it's kind of maybe illustrating that this might be a really risky proposition going forward unless, again, you've really got, the financials taken care of.
We can expect to see more layoffs. We can expect to see more outsourcing. Tiny core teams here, huge teams overseas. We can expect to see more great publishers and developers closing down. Well, not all great ones. We can definitely expect to see the lousy ones closing.
Wow, Baker, that's super depressing. Can we talk about something happy now?
Great news.
Yeah.
For GameStop. This was a great year for the video game retailer. They make a fortune putting games on their shelves, only the most popular games, and they make a lot of money buying them back from people who've raced through the games and sold them back to the stores. And then they continue to resell it and make money off of that. The publishers and game developers don't see any money off of those resold games.
No, they don't like that.
They don't like that at all. And what we're going to see more of, I think, we saw a lot of it in the past year, but we're going to see even more, is developing games that can be downloaded directly to your hard drive, cut out the middleman, games getting expansion packs and new levels and new features for months and months and months after they come out, just in a desperate effort to keep people from selling that game back.
Right.
So,
and I mean,
that's someone who wants to buy the game after the fact has to buy a new copy and not a used copy.
And that's good for consumers because, it incentivizes game makers to actually keep, putting out new content for their games that makes those people want to keep those around. But also you're going to start seeing stuff like, how Rock Band 2 came out this year and you got 20 free downloadable songs, but it was only if you bought the game brand new, and you could use the one-time use code that was on your instruction book. You buy Rock Band 2 used, you don't get those free songs. We're going to see a lot more of that, between digital distribution and just sort of giving people these incentives to buy these games new, just in an attempt, essentially, to kind of cut that used game market out of the equation.
And what we're also going to see, retail isn't going away, of course. It's a big factor. But what we saw with games like Gears of War 2 was they were available for sale at 7-Eleven, which does not buy back used games. And miraculously, they showed up for sale early there, a few days before they went on sale at the big GameStop chain. So,
is this a conspiracy theory, Baker?
The truth is out there. This is going to be a great year for geeks who code in their underwear in their garage.
All right.
Yes, indie gaming. Games made by very small teams of just one or two people were starting to be a big story last year with Braid, made by just a couple of people, World of Goo, made by a two-man team, garnered, all the critical acclaim of a AAA big-budget game, and actually found an audience and made a little bit of money. I hear a lot of people saying it's sort of like 15 years ago when we saw the indie film movement. A lot of people saying just a few guys with a camera made something that's fresher and more engaging than anything I saw in Hollywood this year. I think the same thing is happening in games.
I think what we're going to see is not so much, video gamers en masse playing games like Braid and totally ignoring Gears of War 3. What I hope happens is that the makers of these big budget games, that publishers, will kind of look at things like Braid and say, okay, you know what? We don't have to whitewash our big budget game. We don't have to, let marketing control the content of the game. We can have a singular creative vision drive our game. And that'll be okay. People will accept that.
I think the landscape is starting to splinter. It's becoming more like video. Sometimes you want to watch a beautifully produced movie on DVD. Sometimes you want to watch a silly half-hour sitcom. Sometimes you want to watch a 2-minute clip on YouTube. And now games have that sort of range of experiences available to people. And you can play whichever you feel like at that moment.
Yeah. Okay, Baker, thanks for that depressing roundup of 2009 trends. And now for my depressing roundup of what Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are going to do in 2009. Now, Nintendo, we've already gotten a glimpse into their first 3 months of their game lineup, and it's about as barren as these past few months have been for Wii owners. In fact, they're only bringing out 2 games, and they're both ports of GameCube games: Mario Power Tennis, which is going to use Wiimote controls now for the tennis swinging, and Pikmin, which is going to let you use the pointer to throw your Pikmin all over the place. Now, both of these sound like a lot of fun. I think it's a great idea bringing these GameCube games back for a wider audience. The thing is, I kind of wanted them to, supplement the Wii's release lineup, like how we were supposed to be getting Punch-Out and Sin and Punishment, and those aren't coming out until at least like April. So we all kind of get to sit around and content ourselves with 7-year-old games.
The only thing I can think is that they're holding a lot of games back to implement that Wii Motion Plus control into them. We heard about it at the last E3, and then I've heard nothing since.
Right. Yeah, they've been totally silent on Wii Motion Plus, and I think this is key. Like, I think this is their big thing for 2009. Just like Wii Fit was their big thing for 2008, Wii Motion Plus, getting this little adapter into the hands of as many Wii owners as they can, with as many big games as they can, is their big push. Just like we saw with, the Wii Board and the Wii Zapper before it, third parties lined up to have games ready. So I would expect maybe they'll even push Motion Plus back past the new, 40,000 person E3 they're going to have in 2009, so it can have a big coming out party, so they can get as many titles as they possibly can. I don't think we're going to see, like, Metroid with Motion Plus anytime soon, like this year, because I think that what Retro is doing right now is working on Metroid Prime 1 and 2, the GameCube games, again, rehashed with Wii controls. Maybe those will use Motion Plus. Who knows? But that's going to be a big part of Nintendo's strategy in 2009.
I think we'll also see a lot of Japanese game developers committing to the Wii. They are, for all the reasons, when we were talking about the big budget games, all the reasons we cited, they're very ill-equipped to make games and actually make money off of PS3 and Xbox 360. And we've seen the latest Dragon Quest announced for Wii, and that's always, a weather vane. Where that goes, a lot of games go. Yeah, now that Dragon Quest X is officially on the Wii, you're going to see Japanese publishers making a lot more of a commitment to that platform because they know, that the audience is going to be there. I bet we're also going to see at least one more announcement of a Japanese game developer partnering with a Western game publisher, like, when Suda51 and Grasshopper, the No More Heroes guys, partnered up with Electronic Arts, which is almost unheard of, essentially, for a Japanese publisher to do that. But, I mean, that's where the money is. That's where the actual cash is to, they can actually make games that they want to make. Yeah, so we've seen Microsoft. They've come out with this much cheaper console. They've also come out with a lot of games designed to appeal to casuals. Games that are very similar, suspiciously similar to Sony's games. You've got Seen It. You've got Seen It. You've got You're in the Movies, which is like iToy. You've got Lips, which is like SingStar. And all of these seem designed maybe not to steal Nintendo's thunder, but to stop anyone who's a casual gamer from buying a PlayStation 3, to give them no reason to get a PlayStation 3. Yeah, they're not copying Wii Sports. They're not copying Wii Fit. They are copying SingStar and Buzz and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, interesting. I do think, though, that we're past the point in the Xbox 360's life cycle where Microsoft would introduce any kind of, big new strategy. I don't think we're going to see a motion controller this year. I don't think we're going to see, like,
a Blu-ray add-on drive or anything too crazy. I think that they've gotten themselves kind of set in stone with what they're going to do for the rest of the 360's life, and it's just, keep bringing out good content, keep getting the price down.
One more prediction. I think Microsoft's partnership with Netflix could turn out to be a very, very big deal.
Yeah.
In the last console generation, people talked about how the fact that Sony's PlayStation 2 was also a DVD player, just at the point when DVDs were breaking through, ended up being a huge selling point, and the PlayStation 3 dominated that generation of game consoles. Now, anyone who buys an Xbox 360 and has a Netflix account and a broadband connection pretty much has video on demand in their home. And I think as more and more people become aware of that, that's going to become a really big differentiator. I know a lot of people who are just surprised to find themselves logging in and just watching a TV show that they're downloading to their Xbox rather than play a game.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, the console war might come down to digital downloads of movies or streaming movies versus buying movies on Blu-ray, and which one ends up ringing true with consumers. Speaking of Blu-ray, moving right along to our friends at Sony. Here's my crazy prediction for 2009. All right, this is the nuts one. At the brand new E3, okay, this year, 40,000 people are going to be there. Eyes of the world on Sony, wondering what it is they're going to do. I can see Sony potentially announcing, maybe even showing, the PSP 2. At this point, they've got very little to lose, with the PSP. It's kind of coming back, Sony is now seen as being maybe a bit more of a player in the portable video game wars. But PSP 1 isn't really going to go anywhere against the DS, and I think that Nintendo, content to essentially rest on their laurels, bringing out the DSi, which is just a DS with new features, Sony could come in and have the PSP 2 and actually maybe get some people excited. They've really got to let people play it, though. They can't just talk it up at E3 if they want to talk about it, because that's kind of what got them into this mess in the first place.
The problem they've had all along with the PSP is it's so sophisticated that you need huge development budgets to actually make a game to take advantage of it. So meanwhile, on the DS, they're spending, a few months to make a game like Brain Age, and, they send it out there and it sells 15, 20, some ungodly number of copies.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, they haven't wasted that much money. I think a new, better piece of hardware isn't necessarily going to rescue that platform. I mean, the hardware has been selling well for a while. If the DS weren't just a juggernaut, we'd all be remarking how well the PSP is selling. But software just isn't moving.
Yeah, hardware-wise, it's I think it's their most successful product right now. So yeah, 2009, guys, pay attention to the portable gaming wars, DS, PSP, iPhone, and who knows what else. I think that's one of the really interesting things that might happen this year.
Oh, and just one more thing. There's one platform we haven't mentioned yet. I think, in a lot of ways, the hottest platform of 2009 won't be the Wii, won't be the 360, won't be the PS3.
Gizmondo. Engage. Links. What is it?
Clever. But no, it will be your web browser. We've been seeing an explosion of games in the last year that were available through Facebook, that were available, as simple Flash games. We've seen even massively multiplayer games that play out only inside of browsers. If you don't know anyone under 12, ask them about Club Penguin.
Right.
Habbo Hotel. Games like this are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're kind of under our radar. They're not our sort of games, but I think they will increasingly be in the year to come.
Well, that about wraps it up for the year 2008. Happy holidays, everyone.
And if everyone could do me a favor, do not watch this video again in December 2009 and see what we were wrong about.
Please no.
And mock us in the comments.
We get enough of that already. Thanks for being here.
We'd do the same for you.
We would.